Hey everyone, Hobo4Craft aka MrHobo here, and I'm going to be showing you a strategy that I picked up from Dimaga. It is a strategy that I use versus Protoss. It is the 2 hatch before you expo strategy, and you guys will see what I mean by that. Basically, the idea is that now that being uh, walled in by 2 pylons and then having your Protoss opponent throw down a forge and throw down a couple, maybe even 2 or 3, maybe even 4, depending on how aggressive they are, photon cannons down to block you from getting out and expanding. The idea is that you get all that extra larva to be able to keep pumping drones, keep playing music randomly. Oh my gosh, let me get rid of this. One sec. Sorry about that. I don't know if you guys heard that, because I don't know if my headphones pick up my music audio, but some Kid Cudi just started playing randomly. Um, anyway, I lost my train of thought completely. Uh, oh, okay, yeah, the idea is that you want to be able to have another hatchery that you can use to drone up, get all the drones and or attacking units. I prefer roaches a lot. That you normally wouldn't be able to get because your expo would have been denied. So you guys are gonna see how this is gonna develop. I do like to scout when doing the strategy because it is vulnerable to a 6 gate, or not a 6 gate. Who does 6 gate? A proxy gate, anything of that sort. Really, it would have been smart for me to scout around my base, but I did see that I passed his probe on the way, so I wasn't too worried about that, though it is good habit. So you want to put down your hatchery at about 17. I chose this positioning just because it's closer to the mineral patch. It's not really that big of a deal. So you go up to about 17 or even 18, throw down your hatchery. After you throw that down, you want to go back up to 17 or 18, go throw down your extractor, and then after that you're going to throw down your spawning pool at around 17 again. So it's kind of 17, 17, 17-ish. You can see that my opponent is going to be going a pretty standard build here. And he is in fact doing the forge, little forge trickery, shenaniganery. Um, Here comes my extractor. It's nice to get 3 drones in it right away, but not extremely necessary because we're not necessarily going to go for metabolic boost. We're going to go for roaches, so you don't need it right away because when the spawning pool finishes, you don't need 100. You don't need 100 gas. You don't need to get metabolic boost, like I think I've said. But the reason I was laughing right here is that he saw me go 2 base inside and then black off. It just shows you how kind of deformed the strategy has become and misused, really. I don't even think Protoss know why they do this. I think it's just out of habit now. The reason is obviously because you want to deny the expansion of your opponent, but obviously I'm not going to be expanding if I threw down a hatchery in my own base, so that's just him not playing very reactionarily, but that's fine. That's better for me that way, I guess. Um, But anyway, on to my rambling. You're going to see that he's actually going to block this off too, which does prevent me from maybe just sneaking through the back door. So this is actually a very good idea by him. He's going to throw down a gateway here as well, and a couple of photon cannons. And you can see that in the meantime, I am just droning it up. I'm actually still just keeping tabs with him as far as drones go, which normally you don't see this early on in the game because we have to split. We as a Zerg race have to split up between Zerglings and Roaches and then drones. So yeah, I'm getting a really good economy right now, and he is spending a ton on extra pylons he doesn't need, on all these photon cannons, um, on all these gateways that he's not even going to use, just using them as blocking material. Meanwhile, he doesn't even have anything built, so I'm in no danger at all whatsoever. Um, like I said early in the game, the only real thing you have to worry about is some kind of proxy or early aggression, um, or some kind of rush to void race type of play. Both of which can be solved by scouting. So at this point, I'm feeling good. I had my drone in here running around, and then I didn't see anything funky, so I just threw down the extractor to delay his second gas even more. And still pretty high in the economy. I've been making a lot of roaches at this point. I wanted to get rid of this wall and peek out and see what's going on. Um, but he even threw down 4 photon cannons, which is means it's gonna be a little bit of a hassle. They do actually do a good bit of damage to roaches, so I'm gonna keep them back for the moment. Just gonna let my spine crawler take this out. And in the meantime, just pumping out more roaches. And the idea that I'm having here, I know for a fact that he has spent hardly any of his resources on just plain units, because just looking at this and this, I know for a fact he can't have more than like 2 stalkers out right now. So I'm feeling pretty confident. I just want to have a good counter push at this point, but in the same time, I'm still droning up pretty well, so that if my counterattack does not succeed, I have an economy to fall back on, and that's really important. I say this all the time. It's really important as a Zerg to keep your drones and your attacking units in balance, which is just so important, and you get that mostly out of a feel for the game after experience you have had playing a lot. And another thing I really like about the strategy is if you hate Colossi, then this strategy is definitely for you, because the whole concept of making all of these roaches, I mean, you can make Zerglings too, but I just prefer roaches. uh, why would your opponent use his robo facility to get immortal when he can get, or excuse me, I'm jumping ahead of myself here. Why would he make it to get Colossi, which aren't too great against roaches, when he can just as easily get a bunch of immortals, and pump those out, which do great damage versus roaches. But here's the thing: they do great damage versus roaches, but in this high of roach number, it's really going to be difficult for him to make the immortal cost efficient. I'm going to pause just to keep you checked up with my build so far. I made this video to help you, and I don't want to skip over anything that would be kind of essential. So just when I was poking out right about that time, right before then I guess, I tech to lair, and I definitely want to get the speed as soon as possible. I do think I get it pretty soon here, because roach speed is so essential, especially with against the Protoss army. You want to be able to catch up to those stalkers and focus fire down those immortals. So getting that speed is important. Depending on how much gas you have, if you have 3 gas, I would say that Evo Chamber, dual Evo Chamber is good. But if you're just running on 1 with the amount of roaches you're already massing, I would say, excuse me, if you're on 2 Extractor with the amount of roaches you're already massing, just go for 1 Evo Chamber. That's safest. And I like to get attack first, just because of the numbers of roaches that you are getting. And you see that I'm just going to go for his back rocks. He wasn't exactly ready, and I'm able to come in, do a good bit of damage. And I'm just going to try and micro, do a little bit of kiting. You can see this immortal doing pretty good damage. Like I said, just want to focus that. I'm going to keep a couple roaches on that while I just split my army up in the meantime. In the production, just making more roaches. And one thing is that I should be spreading this creep out a little bit more. Would help me get my roaches to this guy's base a little bit more quickly. Oops, that's the pause button, isn't it? Yes, it is. And from here on, it's just me doing a little bit more kiting. And you can see he even has to pull out of all of his drones off the line. And I'm really comfortable at this point. I'm just, I'm droning up really well. Let's see, I have 38 drones. I definitely should get an expansion at this point. But, yeah, I had won the game, so... there's game 1. We see that him being extremely aggressive with this was in our favor. So good thing for us if he is really aggressive. Just get a good economy that you can fall back on, and then just mass up some roaches, get maybe +1 attack, and go for that win, baby. Especially on Blistering Sands when you can abuse those back rocks. And we're going to go to game number 2. This one's going to be on Steps of War. Can be a little bit more risky to do it on this, like I said, because of the proxy, that kind of jazz. However, if you play it right, it's definitely worth it. It's always worth it. I find that playing with this just gives me such a good economy, no matter what. Um, Even sometimes more than if you fast expand, because you're gonna get pure drones out because you're gonna have 2 hatcheries right away, and it's just you feel really safe with it overall. I'm gonna speed this up because we saw the beginning last time. I do think maybe I go 18, 17, 17 or something of that sort, but just 17, 17, 17 should be your general guideline. Um, and another good thing I like about this is that when your opponent doesn't see an extractor or a spawning pool go down, they're gonna assume that you're gonna be throwing down a hatchery. So I like the kind of mind tricks that it plays on your opponent. Like, oh well, I definitely should be seeing something right now. Just the kind of general timing that they get over time. And now that it's been just implemented, and I'm laughing again because I'm like, here comes a forge. Um, I probably shouldn't do that though. I can't help myself. Anyway, we got a little bit of a 17, 17, 17 going on, up to 18 right now. That's when you should have popped my overlord sooner. Um, but regardless, I'm not going to have any minerals wasted because I'm going to pump out 2 queens right when these hatcheries come up. Do that because queens are great defense. They can kite against a couple zealots very well. And you want to get creep spreading as soon as possible because you're going to be going roaches. So I do like to use one on larva, spitting larva, obviously, and one on throwing down a creep tumor and doing that as soon as possible. And I just find that I have such a great number of larvae to use. So I'm really happy about that. And about this time, I do like to expand around 21, but I do find that he actually did something kind of cute. He built a photon cannon behind my base. Wasn't gonna block it off, but just the concept of going for forge first really helps you in using this strategy because it delays their 4 gate a lot. Granted, you do have to worry about the +1 attack. So in this case, because I know that he didn't really use his forge to